Cracking party people. This is kind of one for the lads. It'll have a title when it's posted. So the thing with narcissism and social media is we're being conditioned to get that dopamine hit. This is not fucking rocket science. It leads into what I'm going to talk about. The ping gives us a little and dopamine is like, ooh, that felt good, I want more of that. So dopamine's more about wanting than it is about the ping. Okay, the ping, that's a different thing, and the ping could be all kinds of different payoffs. Yeah, it could be juicy in different ways, but dopamine is yearning and chasing. And sometimes in our relationship attachments, it's if you like the chase and then you get these people and you're like, oh fuck, what a, you know, that's because we like yearning and we like working for it. And that's conditioned at a young age as well. It's like life's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be a struggle to get there. And then when you get there, you're like, well, now I need another struggle, all right? And that's why people love jiu-jitsu as well. You will never master all of it. And the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So it's really satisfying in that way of chasing something unattainable. And it's way more constructive than like trying to get with someone who you can't get with, someone who's taken or they're gay or something like that. It's a lot more satisfying because you're always pursuing the greatness, right? Anyway, so narcissism. The reason I'm saying this is like slightly aimed at men is I've been watching some stuff about female narcissism, and there's a guy who does the human magnet syndrome. That's his like product, and that's like the anxious avoidant, the polarity there. And he says that borderlines are the pathological narcissist. So he says like BPD, right? And that's the one I have experience with. It's one of my exes had mild BPD. I still think it was pretty fucking severe from where I was sitting. But I was particularly vulnerable to that because I've got like a savior, rescuer complex, people pleasy codependency thing. And one of the videos I was watching, she says, like those like cluster B people who need supply and stuff, they've scouted you. And that like really hit home for me when I heard that, because I was like quite happy being single and dating like young hot babes who sort of weren't looking for too much, and you know, having sort of shallow connections while I was like working on myself. And this person had like scouted me. Like now I'm like, oh yeah. And she was like, hey, I want to be with you. And I was like, oh, like, no thanks. Like, I'm happy being single, which was the first like rejection. And, you know, borderlines often have rejection sensitive dysphoria because of the abandonment wound. So that like any sort of hint that you don't like them or whatever, they're like, you know, abandon me. And it makes them like really angry. And so that could be like you pour yourself a glass of water after going for a run and you're like, and then I'd turn around and she was like in the next room looking through the doorway, like, why didn't you pour me one? You know, and it's like the rejection made her angry and then she had to punish me kind of thing, right? And I know some of you might be connecting with that with a person who you think is narcissistic. And there is a degree of that, but according to the schema therapy model, it's like how your parents raised you and disciplined you governs whether you have like a punitive strain. So people who were punished a lot either go, yeah, that's what you do with kids, or you go the other way and you go, I'm not fucking doing that to my kids, right? I actually came up through hospitality with this guy who was a chef. He was a ferocious alcoholic and amphetamine addict. And I was like, man, you're the nicest chef I ever met, because chefs are always dicks. They're in a really small space with a lot of heat. There's sharp knives, have to be careful. People are complaining all the time. Like, it's a very stressful, very uncomfortable job. And I was like, how come you're so nice, bro? Like, chefs are usually just cunts, you know? And he goes, I just got treated like absolute shit on my way up. And I was like, I'm never fucking doing that to anyone. I'm not going to be rude to the waiters. I'm just not fucking doing it, right? And it's the same with parenting. If you feel like you've been abused in that, you might go completely the other way and be like, no, I'm not going to discipline the kids at all, because you don't know how to do it without anger. But it's like, no, I'm not going to use rage to punish and stuff like that. And honestly, on paper and according to the data, like using anger and rage and stuff to discipline children, it doesn't lead to long-term good results. Like, it might have them working for your approval constantly, but then they become like me. They become people pleasers who are vulnerable to abuse from people who are seeking that kind of supply. Like, they want someone to just look after them and stuff, right? Hey, darling, how are you? The stuff we've been talking about recently, what I was sharing. So yeah, if you got a punitive parent, you might go one way or the other. You might go like, yeah, that's normal. Or you might go, no, I'm not fucking doing that. And not fucking doing that is better for the child's like ability to learn and develop like good skills and stuff in life. So it's better to explain stuff to them than it is to just frighten them and then they just comply at the time, right? And another thing I was looking at through work and placement and stuff is like, if we only use yelling to get them to do stuff and like, hey, bro, what's cracking? If we only use yelling to get a child to do like desirable behavior, we actually condition them to not listen unless we're yelling, all right? So it's like, mum told me to put my shoes on. Meh, I'm not scared yet. Mum told me to put my shoes on again. Meh, I'm not scared yet. Third time, I told you to put your fucking shoes on you. Ah! But like now the compliance thing that they've been conditioned to respond to has kicked in, and everyone knew it was coming. The parent knew they had to yell, and they're like, don't make me yell, don't make me yell, don't make me yell, but you know it's coming. That's why you're thinking don't, because you don't want to do it, because you know it's inevitable. And the kid's like, mum's gonna yell at me, but I get to keep playing the game, or I get to keep playing with the dolls until mum yells at me. And so it becomes like that, right? And if you're hearing that and you want to break that cycle, the other option is to put it on them, and you go, hey, how long are you gonna need till we get the shoes on? They say give them the power to plan. Or like, what's your plan for brushing your teeth? They're like, oh, I'm just gonna finish this game, then I'll brush my teeth, then I'll go to bed. You go, cool. And then if they don't do it, you're like, hey, we had a deal, dude. Like you said when you finish the game you'd brush your teeth. You know, we're gonna have to go back to me yelling at you, or you know. And they're like, oh no, look, I'll just do it next time or whatever. And then when they do it, it's catch them doing it right. You know, we have songs for Abby that she's like, yay, I'm doing the good behavior, and it's like that yay, again, the dopamine, the ping, and it's like, I like that. I like when they praise me. I'm gonna do this again because I like that feeling that comes with the good behavior, right? And so the compliance, the fear, it works at the time, but it doesn't teach the good behavior. They're like, okay, fuck, I'll put my shoes on, but they're not like, put your shoes on off to school. Like it doesn't become like part of who they are. So yelling and anger and stuff, it gets immediate compliance, which is why it's fucking popular, right? The reason people do it is because it works in the moment. And the reason people hit their kids and stuff is because it works at the time. It's like, yeah, immediate compliance, right? But that doesn't teach the good behavior. And like, if you search deep within your heart, you might realize that some parents are fucking bullies. Like they enjoy the power, they enjoy the authority, because there's some part of us that's like, I'm more dominant than this monkey. Mikhail, if you're still there, he's been bullying me for 10 years, 11 years or some shit, just fucking absolutely trolling me. And he even said like, there's the time he baseball chokes me and he goes, I reckon that was where the bullying started. It was like, oh, I was like, yeah, I like this feeling. So basically I made him a bully, right? It's my fault. Like my people pleasy codependency made him like, this is good. I like this. I'm above you, right? But there is some part of the brain that lights up when we have like some form of power or dominance, right? And I think it is a survival strategy in us is like, oh, cool. Status. The most food and mating capacity is now affordable to me, right? So there's some part of us that goes, yeah, cool, right? And you know, for men it's more like a dominance thing and a conquest thing, and for women it's more of a like, how many connections do I have? Like, oh, all these other witches are like telling me which berries I should eat and which nuts I should feed to the kid, is like information from their network, right? And you might say I'm generalizing. Yeah, this is evolutionary biology, and the more you look into it, the more it's the only thing that makes sense. Evolutionary biology. Yeah, and cool, it might change with like, we're moving into a transgender society, but it might take like 200 years for our software to catch up. And the hardware is always going to be there, but the software might override the hardware. Anyway, so what I was getting at with the narcissism and like particularly covert narcissism, I think it says in the title, so they might scout you and they're like, yeah, cool, you're like a people pleaser, rescuer, codependent. That's what I need. I need a servant. I need someone who's going to make it all about me and stuff, right? And then this is the bit that's going to hurt some of you men that have been married for a long time, is when it's never good enough and you can't make her happy and she's never happy, and it's, you know, it's just this uphill battle every day. And that if you're hoping that she will change, you need to get the fuck over that. Like, people who don't have a grip on any skill that gives them positive attention, or they, you know, they just don't know how to be cool and fun and happy and get attention in a good way, they will get it from negative attention, right? They will get the juice, right? And what I was saying about females having connections and stuff, and then that gives them a sense of power. The biological need of a woman to have connections and like attention, right? And I'm sorry if this hurts and I'm generalizing. It's like, if I can't get positive attention, I need negative attention. I need it, all right? So if your wife or your partner is always just, it's never good enough, and you're like, hey, check this out. And she's like, yeah, but it's shit, isn't it? And then you go, She's getting dopamine from the, because she's getting this. She's getting the power, right? And so she's like, oh, yeah, that's it. And like, I don't know, Lola and I talking about it last night. I don't know if people consciously are bullies in that dominant sense, and they're like, yeah, haha, you fucking bitch, like, take that. Or if it's subconscious and they're just like, yeah, it feels good when I tell him how shit he is. Like, I don't know if it's just like, that feels better and stuff. But I do know to some degree, from the people that I know have cluster B disorders, when they're walking around the world, let me just fucking act this out. Let's say this is the first time they get the bullying high, right? They're walking around the world and they're just miserable, and they're filled with shame because people call them on being fucking assholes, and they're just like, everything's stupid and I always fuck up and I never got any of the accolades and dreams fulfilled that I'd planned, and then the first time, and they're like, oh, sorry, and they're being reasonably nice to people, and the first time they're like, fuck you, and then the other person's like, oh, Jesus, and that reaction feels good. They're like, oh, that snapped me out of my depression. Maybe not even consciously, but just like, yeah, that feels better. Yeah, that feels good. Oh, wakey, better than a cup of coffee, right? Dopamine, right? So then they're like, oh, that felt a bit better when I dominated somebody. When I got negative attention, that made me feel a bit better. It pulled me out of my shit. And so then it becomes a reward, yeah? So it's like the next time I fucking push up against someone and get a shit reaction, and you're like, take that, you little bitch, right? It's this negative attention cycle, right? And then they become addicted to it. And it's not necessarily the resulting ping, but it is the wanting, the dopamine, the reward, right? I want it. I want to bully someone. I want to dominate someone. I want to get a reaction where I go, nah, that's fucking shit. And they go, oh, fucking hell, man. I was just trying to be nice. And they're like, well, not good enough. And see, it's just the dominance is fucking paying off, right? So, to anyone who's in a relationship that's just fucking shit, and it took me like 4 years to get out of that one, they're never going to change, right? Because it's a payoff, and it doesn't look like that to a sane person. You're like, why would you want to be miserable and everything to be shit? It's because you're reacting, right? And you can't see your own facial expression when you're like, having a feeling, right? But they can see it. They're like, who's controlling this, right? Who's controlling the frame, right? Who's frame control, right? So, and my ex would ask me like question after question after question, and I'd like get 10 of them right, and then the 11th one, this was like, yeah, it was good because she tried to crack it and have a tantrum. That's how they self-regulate and stuff. And there's a few people I know who they like having a big outburst, and then they get tired, right? And it's that exhaustion caused by acts of violence. Huebiko is the Japanese word. Exhaustion caused by acts of senseless violence, right? And it's because they were never told not to have tantrums anymore. They never got to a point where their parents were like, all right, you're too old to be cracking the shits at the supermarket, like, stop it, and I'm not going to give you the chocolate for having a tantrum anymore. And then they're like, okay, this isn't working anymore. No reward, no dopamine. Like, they never had that. Tantrums are stupid, and I'm too old for this shit. So that's why you have adults that are still having big tantrums that go for fucking 2 hours, because we're foolishly trying to make them feel better. And it's like, they don't want to feel better. They want to have a big tantrum. They want to get a lot of attention. They're milking every single bad reaction you give them and going like, fuck yeah, who's the bully, right? You're the nail and I'm the hammer, right? So they're not going to change because they love it, okay? They love it. And they might not necessarily love torturing you. It might not be conscious, but they love torturing everybody. It makes them snap out of their depression when they're jumping off someone else, right? And I've had good friends who were bullies like that, and I'm just like, why does the joke always have to be at someone's expense? And it's because you're either the hammer or you're the nail, right? And they believe that because they only believe in win-lose mentalities, right? And this is what I was saying about like the covert narcissist, not necessarily exclusively, but they don't have that win-win thing. They're not like, I say something funny and you laugh, and then you say something funny and I laugh, and yay, ping pong, everyone's happy, isn't this great? They're like, no, you have to be the hammer or you might be the nail. That's just the fucking script they're running. And it's very sad that they've been traumatized and they've had abuse that's made them into these behavioral patterns and stuff. But also, we are not qualified to fix it. Even, I've nearly finished my master's in counseling, right? After doing a psych degree. You can't fix someone from within inside the relationship because we have too much skin in the game, and they are forcing reactions from you. The therapist is meant to be like this stoic, space holding fucking altar, right? And like, even if we do react emotionally, we're supposed to acknowledge it. We're like, I just feel really sad for you in this moment. And it's like, you give them your emotional reaction and they go, yeah, it is kind of sad, but it's about them, right? When you're in a relationship with someone, it's about both of you. Even if you are super codependent and it's like mainly about them and a little bit about you, the little bit about you is too much to be able to really help them. Okay? You might be able to help them by helping them find their keys in the morning, or, you know, waking them up so they go to work, which we shouldn't be fucking doing anyway, because it's conditioning people to be stupid and irresponsible and lazy. It's like, they can set a fucking alarm. I shouldn't be doing that for them. But if you are super codependent, it gives you a sense of purpose. And, you know, every mum in the world can't be wrong, right? It's satisfying to feel like you're helping your children, right? I knew a woman who took her sister's kid for 8 years or something. I don't know, but her sister was incapable. I don't know if it was drugs or mental health or whatever, but she took her sister's kid. And at one point she said to the kid, dude, you're fucking killing me. Like, every morning I have to micromanage you to put your uniform on, pack your bag, eat your breakfast, brush your teeth. You know, why does it have to be pulling teeth? And the kid was 7, goes, I can just do all that shit myself, dude. Like, you don't have to micromanage me. You don't have to nag me through it. Like, I know how to get dressed and stuff. We do it every day. And so then my friend was like, all right, we'll see how this goes. The next day, the kid did all the shit, was ready on time, got in the car, went to school. And my friend was like, shit, like, not only did I not need to be micromanaging this, but I feel like I've lost a sense of purpose. Like, my morning was all about getting this kid ready, and it's like, the kid doesn't need me at all. Like, I'm like, oh, someone's gonna do it, it's a dirty job. Oh, it's so hard making the kid get ready. And the kid's like, I can do it myself. It was like, oh, there's actually a grief in being useful and having purpose, which is sad. But this is the thing that codependents struggle with, is like, from learning to make it about other people because we were abused and we were devalued and taught that we didn't matter, and then getting good at making it about other people to survive in that environment. We then leave that environment and we still have that codependent people pleaser, make it about them mode, right? So then everyone we meet, we start to just make it about them, and they go, whoa, it's okay, dude, I can like find my own keys and stuff. And then afterwards they're like, oh, it's fucking sweet being woken up. It's not the alarm. I get gently woken up by someone who's being nice to me. Yeah, sweet deal, you know. As we condition people to be selfish and then resent them for being selfish, right? I know that probably hurt if you're a people pleaser, but the only other way is to tell the truth and be yourself and make your own needs clear and try to do it in the most peaceful, passive way possible. Lola recently thanked me for explaining something to her, and she goes, I didn't feel attacked at all. That was amazing. Thank you so much. And I was like, I treaded so fucking carefully to explain how I was feeling without making it any sense of that she thought it would be her fault. I fucking tiptoed through it. And she was like, you nailed that, bro. Thank you, right? See the reward? She goes, yeah, well done. And I'm like, whoo, dopamine. I want to get that right again. I want to say it in a way that she doesn't feel attacked again because she rewarded it. I was like, bing. Yep, let's do that again. Let's be respectful, right? So that's apparently the codependency cure, is like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. We don't say the word you because that's, people go, no, I didn't fucking do it. They just start defending themselves when we say you. So we might say, hey, is there a way we can come up with a system where we, see, it's we, it's like us, the team needs this system, you know, as opposed to like, fuck you, you need to change, right? And that's part of the thing that really hurts with the cluster B narcissism or borderline, is they're always like, it's your fault, that's why I'm fucked. Not all my childhood trauma and my sick behavioral patterns that I use to get attention, connection in a way that is negative but still fulfilling and replenishing my electrolytes. It's you, you're the problem, you're the one hurting me, you're the fucking you're the narcissist, you know? And that's apparently, they say, one of the final stages is they make you think that you're the abuser. And it's probably just like slippery slope. At some point, they just start gaslighting you and brainwashing you like, you're the sick one. It's definitely not me, it's you, you know? So I'm sorry if you've been through that, and I'm sorry if you've been married to someone who's been torturing you for a long time. But the main message is they're not going to change because they're enjoying it. It's conditioned into them to be getting off on this. And like, it looks like insane, but it is insane. It's not. The rest of us aren't thinking like that, and that's why you haven't realized it till now, is they are enjoying it. They're getting off on the bullying, right? And it could be, you know, very subtle, or it could be very overt, covert or overt narcissism, overtly bullying children because it gives you a sense of authority. Like, yes, well, I'm the dad, so fuck you. Well, if you didn't make so many mistakes, I wouldn't feel so good about myself. Or it could be the partner who's just always just criticizing you a little bit, because that makes it seem like they're the authority, yeah? If I'm critiquing your behavior, I'm the boss, right? If you're critiquing my behavior, you're abusive. She's not going to change, dude. You need to get the fuck out. Sorry if you have kids as well. Apparently that's one of life's most painful mistakes. Anyway, love you guys. Catch you soon.